Hello, fellow heretics. As usual, we're going to talk about the government system, the social contract, government authority, stuff like that. And thankfully, with AI, I am going to be able to keep it more organized. So I've done some work, put in my parameters, what I want to get out of it, and how I want to stay on topic. And I know a lot of you trolls don't like me because I don't believe in consenting to the authority of what I consider an illegitimate form of government, but I also understand that a lot of people are operating by what do you like? It's kind of like a consent-based thing, you know. You put a license plate from the state on your car. You've given consent to be pulled over, ticketed, and all the like. And the contentions of the naysayer is that if you don't put a state-issued plate on your car, and if you don't ask permission from the state by getting a license to travel, then you are just a sovtard blah 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 who can't understand what reality is. You're like, dude, I'm sorry that your mind is so small, but not my problem. Anyways, I'm gonna read from here and keep this as organized as possible, and you can leave comments below as to what you think about this topic. It's kind of an argument I'm having with ChatGPT, and these are the answers that I'm getting from it. Let me know in the comments below what you think, what is your opinion of it, and if you could do your best not to be a troll and character attack, because small-minded, little narcissistic, tiny people who hate their lives always attack other people. Okay, so the title is Government Authority and the Social Contract, an Unraveling of Consent. So basically what I asked is, if the people don't have authority, how did they delegate authority to the government that they don't have? So introduction. Government authority is a concept that affects every aspect of our lives, from the laws we obey to the taxes we pay. We often hear that governments derive their authority from the consent of the governed. But what does this really mean? How can individuals who lack the authority to do things like issue tickets or make arrests collectively grant such powers to a government? In this blog post, we'll delve into the complex and often paradoxical nature of government authority and the concept of the social contract. The social contract is a foundational idea in political philosophy that attempts to explain how governments gain authority over individuals. Thinkers like Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, and Jean-Jacques Rousseau, not sure if I'm saying that right, it's Rousseau, explored this concept. The basic premise is that individuals in a state of nature come together to form a society with a government, surrounding certain freedoms in exchange, or surrendering certain freedoms in exchange for protection and the benefits of living in an organized society. Now that is actually a correct statement. If you go back into the Black's Law 4th Pocket Edition, is what I remember, because I used to have one. If you look up the term citizen, it basically says, from my memory, is one who basically gives up rights in exchange for mutual protections or something to that effect. Okay? The consent theory and practice. One key element of the social contract is consent. In theory, individuals within a society agree to live under the rules and institutions of their government. However, consent in practice is more complex. It's not about every individual personally agreeing to every law, but rather about individuals choosing to live in a society with established rules. Okay, let's stop on that topic. I want to talk about that real quick. Is we're born here of our mother and father, whatever, how nature works. You come out of mommy and they get you all lined up with these certificates and registrations. Right away you're registered, you're certified, you got your social security number, and you got all these things that involve you in this government system before you can even decide whether or not you want to. Okay? So it's pretty much involuntary. So, I understand being here. I do consent to living under what you would call social norms, or what's a proper word for it? The idea of do no harm. Obviously, people don't want their stuff stolen, so I shouldn't go out and steal it, and vice versa. They shouldn't steal from me, and that's what, stuff like that. Don't rape people, don't beat people, don't do bad things to other people, mind your own business, So, yeah, I agree to those basic principles. But when did I agree to be beaten and tased and taxed to death and told what I can and can't do and where I can and can't go at any time of life? Now, it's already an unspoken rule. Well, it's not only unspoken, but it's also spoken that you don't trespass upon other people's property or their person, their body, whatever. So, yeah, this is my contention. Let's keep going. The delegation of authority. Individuals delegate authority to a government through various means, including elections and legal frameworks. This delegation includes the power to issue tickets, to make arrests, and maintain order. While individuals lack these powers as private citizens, they collectively grant them to government as a means of ensuring social order and addressing common problems. Now, I'm going to stop there real quick, because in a constitutional form of government, the way this one was set up is that the government absolutely has no more authority than the people. If you look at Article 1, Section 1 of the Washington State Constitution, it says that all political power is inherent in the people, right? It talks about that here. All political power is inherent in the people. And that governments derive their just powers by the consent of the governed and are established to protect and maintain individual rights. Period. Boom. That's the framework of what this particular government is supposed to be doing. It doesn't say they have the right to issue tickets or unlawfully arrest and seize people's property or do the things that they've been doing, right? So that's where I think where those things come from. Is I think when you get your registration, your license, and all this stuff, you are saying that you submit to be policed in that manner. Well, you don't have to, because the Constitution was written to protect you from the tyranny of evil men, allegedly. Now, just a thought there. I would elaborate on it. The scope of government authority. Governments are expected to operate within certain limits. We just talked about that in the Constitution. Principles like limited government, separation of powers, checks and balances help ensure that government authority is exercised responsibly and in line with the rules of law. And that's why the Constitution was written, right? Challenges to government legitimacy. Governments can face challenges to their legitimacy when they abuse power, engage in corruption, or erode public trust. These challenges highlight the need for accountability and oversight mechanisms. I couldn't agree with that more. Thank you very much, Mr. Robot AI Guy. The social contract in a changing world. In today's world with technology, globalization, and pressing environmental issues, the concept of the social contract faces new challenges. Adapting to the social contract theory to address these challenges is an ongoing discussion in political philosophy. I bet it is. So the conclusion here is government authority and the social contract are complex, multifaceted concepts. While individuals may not have the same powers as the government, they consent to live under the rules and institutions of their society. This consent, combined with delegation and accountability mechanisms, forms the basis of government authority. As we navigate the complexities of government authority and the social contract, it's essential to engage in thoughtful dialogue and exploration to understand and shape the societies we live in. Okay, so we talked about the two dynamics of that, though. You know, in all reality, we cannot delegate authority to another man that we don't have. I mean, can we really all agree in this neighborhood that that neighbor across the street has authority from us to go into each and everybody's house and see what they have in there? Can we really just delegate that kind of magical authority that we don't have to do ourselves? I can't go into a neighbor's house without their consent, so can he? Oh yeah, well, we all agreed that he can. Well, that's about stupid. Why would anybody agree to that? It's not logical, and we didn't. That's the thing that these little trolls don't comprehend. So I asked, what if I do not consent to be governed and I withdraw consent in writing? This is the answer. The idea of withdrawing consent to be governed is a complex and contentious one. In democratic societies, governments derive their authority from the consent of the governed as expressed through elections and participation in political process. Okay, let me stop there. I have never once participated in elections or any political process. However, individuals who do not consent to be governed typically have a few options to consider. Now, I'm not saying I don't consent to be governed within reason. I do consent to be governed within reason because it's I don't know. I guess I wouldn't consent if I committed a crime and the police wanted to, or the sheriff wanted to take me in and make me answer for it, and I would not be consenting by attacking him. That would be withdrawal of consent by physical force and resistance. So, but that's not what I would do. Anyways. However, individuals who do not consent to be governed typically have a few options to consider. Immigration. One option is to immigrate to a country or region where the form of government or governance aligns more closely with your beliefs or preferences. This allows you to live in a place where you feel more comfortable with the governing authority. Point 2 is civil disobedience. Wait a minute here, let me stop. Before I go on to that, the first one talks about feeling more comfortable within the governing authority. I personally would feel a lot more comfortable for people like me who are intellectual and read the laws and understand how they are differentiated and how the Constitution is supposed to limit government, and these political bureaucrats have overthrown the Constitution with their other, garbage that they're doing. People like me feel more comfortable with a limited, constitutionally organized government, because the Constitution really does set up a really nice framework for a limited form of government. if it were followed properly. So I don't disagree with the constitutional form of government. I disagree with the political bureaucrat piece of crap form of government that has risen up to overthrow the constitutional form of government. They've come in to create a democracy to overthrow the republic. Point 2, civil disobedience. Civil disobedience involves intentionally breaking laws or regulations to protest against government actions or policies you disagree with. This approach is a way to express your dissent while accepting the consequences, which may include fines or legal penalties. And I'm going to include beatings, taserings, murder, death, kill, imprisonment, etc., the other violent things that they have done to people on a regular basis because they don't want to consent to your bullcrap taxation, political scams that you've been doing under color of law. I can't wait to see the trolls on that one. Political activism. You can engage in political activism to advocate for change within the existing system. This may include joining or supporting political movements or parties that align with your views, running for office yourself, or participating in a peaceful protests and demonstrations. Now, that's all pointless to me. I've seen everybody doing all that. That doesn't do a stinking thing. Why? Because we already have a constitution for those people. They already have it. It's their charter. They're supposed to abide by it. They overstep it, they're liable to us. You could see in many, many lawsuits that have been filed against police for like First Amendment audits, things like that. You can see evidence that people are applying and standing for their rights that are supposed to be protected by this Constitution. You could see that it's still there. It's just that we are not actively doing it. So, I don't know. Maybe it's because a lot of us, like me, don't know exactly where to begin, because I've never written a lawsuit. How would I do it properly? And how do you go in there and you know, they want a large amount of money to file a lawsuit. Like, you don't have direct access to the courts. It's just, it's a joke. It's a joke. But there are rules and regulations around that. So anyways, let's keep going. Point 4 is legal challenges. You can explore whether there are legal avenues to change specific government actions or policies that you believe infringe upon your rights. This may involve pursuing legal action through the courts. Just talked about that. Dialogues and debates. Engaging in discussions, debates, and dialogues with fellow citizens, policymakers, and community members can be a productive way to express your views, influence public opinion, and potentially shape government policies and decisions. Yeah, whatever. The thing is, government policy was already established by their constitution. They don't abide by their constitution because they have two forms of governments in, you know, they're right there side by side. The old original constitution form of government is still there, and then you got the public policy, the bureaucratic, you know, you have the two sides already there. So chat keeps going and says, it's important to note that withdrawing consent in writing by itself is unlikely to result in the cessation of government authority over you. Governments operate based on established legal and constitutional frameworks, and these typically require more than an individual's personal declaration to alter their relationship with government. Additionally, societies are built on the premise of collective governance, and the social contract assumes that individuals, by living in a society, implicitly agree to certain rules and governance structures. While dissent and criticism are valuable components of any democratic society, completely opting out of government authority is changing within the framework of most modern societies. If you have specific concerns or issues related to government actions or policies, it's advisable to seek legal counsel and engage in civic activities that align with your principles and values while respecting the laws and regulations of your jurisdiction. Your jurisdiction. Another word for jurisdiction is authority. Okay. I think that about wraps it up. You already know my viewpoints on things. And you already know that when you put a license plate on your car, you're putting state-issued property onto your automobile, and you're advertising to the policy enforcement agents that you are now under policy and not under the protections of the Constitution. That's the way I view it. Whether you think I'm a soft-hard moron idiot is like not the point. I don't care what you think. If you think that and you think that like makes you better than me, good for you. But in my opinion, you're a small-minded moron with no integrity. So, with that being said, I close, and I want to say that I guess my act of civil disobedience, which is actually within the law, is to not have registration on my car, to not wear a seatbelt. Unless the particular car I'm driving dings at me every so often and it drives me crazy, then I'll put it on. Yeah, that's about it. Thanks for stopping by. Leave your comments, likes, subscribe. Give me some views. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Thank you. Have a good day. See you next time.